This whole getting older shit just not worth it.
Oh my God, it just doesn't stop.
No, it doesn't. It just goes faster too. Dude,
And
ever since I turned 40, which, was only 6 months ago, but still, uh,
well,
it
I'm
honestly
doing it
feels
6 months
like
from now.
it just it feels like it just doesn't stop, man. It
The years start
sucks.
coming and they don't stop coming.
Oh, bend to the
Like
rules and they
Smash
hit
Mouth
the ground
said,
running.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh God, Smash Mouth. God, that's a band I haven't thought about in forever. What's very much like tonight's band. I haven't thought about them in years.
Okay, but it's normal to have not thought about Smash Mouth in years.
That's a good point. But when you messaged me, I was like, yes, I knew he was gonna want to do this. And then oh,
I knew you'd get me.
I knew you'd come around. And then you told me what band, and I was expecting like Aquabats or, you know,
Oh, Aquabats be a fun one.
Aquabats would be a
Op,
fun one.
Op Ivy.
But
That'd be easy for a fresh laugh.
the one album, I
Yeah.
mean the album that they released and were like, oh, we're done, guys. Thanks. Have a nice
And
day.
immediately broke up.
Then
Yep.
immediately we're like, yeah, we're done. Thanks though. I would love to do Rancid. I would
Yeah,
love to
they
do
went
a
out on
Rancid.
top.
Uh, there's a bunch of bands. Like I'm gonna probably in like the next week or two, like put out on the social media, just be like, hey, these are the bands I want to do. If anyone wants to jump on these episodes, please let me know. And welcome back to First, Last, and Best. I know it has been a while since we've done an episode. I'm sorry again. At least it's not 3 years this time. So that's always good. But we are back to talk about a new band and to do a deep dive on some of their albums. But first, let's talk about socials. We are on Facebook, facebook.com/, first last the best podcast. Same handle over on Instagram. We are also on TikTok now. Although, once again, one of those things I say I'm going to do, and then we'll probably not do much with it anyways. We also have our episode streaming on Spotify, and we are now also streaming on YouTube. So we'll see how that goes. Um, it's today we have a new guest with us. Uh, when I first came up with the concept for the show, when I thought about bringing it back, uh, there was a few people I had thought of that was like, you know what? I think this person will be interested. And when I first tapped our guest host for today, he was like, no, 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 I don't think so. I'm not sure this is for me. And then about a week or so ago, he messaged me. He's like, okay, yeah, I'm good with this. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's Brian. Brian, welcome to the show,
Thank you.
and our brand of insanity as we talk about music. And when I first envisioned you coming on the show, uh, I was thinking like the Aquabats or Frank Turner or Operation Ivy or Rancid or list number of bands. I did not see this one coming. For the
You
band we're
see
going
the
to be
other
talking.
option that I
What?
gave you two when I messaged you. I gave you two options of bands. Do you remember the other one?
I did not remember the other option. Hold on. I
There are two bands that I feel very confident talking about their discography.
da, 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 da. Oh, yeah. See, I there was the other band he is referring to is Panic at the Disco. And I gotta be honest, I have no confidence in myself in talking about Panic at the Disco. I never really got into them. I was very heavy into Fall Out Boy. I was really heavy into Newfound Glory. Panic at the Disco, I was like, I'll listen to their singles, but I never really dived deep on their albums. So it was, but I should have looked back at our messages when as soon as you said, "All right, I'm ready for this," because today we're going to talk about the Offspring. And for me, the Offspring was one of those bands that it was definitely a gateway band for getting into punk rock and and those types of genres, especially skate punk, uh, and ska punk, I think. Less ska because they're definitely, I don't think anyone has confused them with a ska band ever in the history of their
Nope,
their
nowhere
recording
close.
lives. So, but it's definitely a gateway, was a gateway band for me. So, when did you start getting into Offspring?
They were probably around between eighth and ninth grade, like around 99.
Yeah.
They were they were big on Total Request Live on MTV. Who's looking for a white
Oh,
guy and why don't you get a job?
yep.
And
Americana.
yeah. And that's when I got into them. I actually had a buddy of mine that I went to school with who had the Americana CD,
Oh,
but
nice.
his mom didn't want him to have it because of some of the language. So he sold it to me for $7.
Nice.
And, and so I
And just
I
ever
listened to
since,
that
this has
and
been your
ev-
band or one of them?
yeah, I very quickly ended up buying the rest and it was all over from there.
Good night.
And
You know
we're
what?
only five then.
We did skip a chapter in what we do here on this show, and that's my fault. I did the same thing when I recorded with Caitlin when we were talking about Good Charlotte, which is an episode lost to time. Maybe we'll
Oh,
redo it eventually.
oh, that'd be
Uh,
a good one.
what are you listening to these days? What have you been listening to lately?
My playlists lately have been almost entirely early 2000s pop punk and emo. So
Nice.
your Fall Out Boys, your Panics, Blink 182 shows
Yep.
up a lot. Uh, Bowling for Soup's been big.
Oh yeah.
Like
Dude,
they're
Jared's
country
awesome. I
bands.
love it. Have you ever seen them live? Bowling for Soup?
Not yet. In a couple months,
Oh,
I
are
will
you
be
going
going
to
to
the
United Center.
Bowling for Soup show at
Yeah.
the Dome, or are they going on
Um,
that side?
that
I thought they were playing at the
I
Dome.
think they're going to be in Richmond. They're going
Oh,
to be
okay.
somewhere close, somewhere accessible.
Oh, nice. Well, I was gonna say, I saw them. It was Mest, Authority Zero, and Bowling for Soup at the Canal Club in
Oh wow.
Richmond, which my wife is a huge fan of Mest and Good Charlotte. That was basically the pop punk she grew up on. So we ended
Yeah,
up going for Mest. We met most of the guys in the band. We didn't get to meet Tony, but we met the rest of the guys in the band. I was there for Authority Zero because I love Authority Zero. And then we kind of left like halfway through Bowling for Soup.
really.
I my biggest musically speaking, Bowling for Soup is very, very good. But it like there was like 5 to 10 minutes in between each song as they talked and bantered with the crowd, which is fun. But I was just like, all right, I gotta work the next morning, and I'm just like, all right, this isn't like the band I was like super here for. So I'm just like, all right, I'm good to go. So I didn't get to hear their hits, but I got to hear a
Yeah.
few good, really good songs, so I'm fine with it.
And, and my
But
my daughter really likes them too, so
does she? Oh, well then,
she'll be going.
are you taking her?
Yeah,
Did,
yeah.
did she come? Nice.
She's
That's
also
awesome.
coming to see the Offspring with me later this year.
Nice. Good Lord, man. Is she coming to Supernova?
No, I don't think we'll be able to make that happen.
Are you
I
gonna go to
know.
Supernova?
I don't think so.
Dude, come on. You told me you were gonna
I,
go and it was gonna be so much fun. We were gonna have so
yeah, that
much
was like
fun.
6 months ago.
Yeah, that's a good point. God, plans change. Like
Yeah,
I was gonna go to Warp Tour.
being a grown up.
Now I'm
Oh,
selling
see,
my
you
tickets.
you were all about going to Warped Tour.
Yeah, but then the more I thought about it, the more I
See how
realized
it goes.
like just about
So,
every single band on there, I'm just like the only bands I'm super excited about or even have any remote excitement for was Sublime because I had never seen them live. Dance Hall Crashers because they were reuniting. That's about it. I mean,
and yes,
Pennywise would be cool. I've seen 4 Year Strong 12,000 times. I mean, there are bands on there I would be like, all right, I'll go see them. I'll go watch them. I already have the tickets, but we're trying to sell. If we could sell our tickets, then
yeah,
hey, I'm good to go. So it's also
yeah.
Father's Day weekend. I don't want to do anything.
The signal to noise ratio at Warped can be rough.
It really is, which is another reason I'm just like, do I really want to go up there, spend what I'd wind up spending entirely too much money
Oh yeah,
on merch and everything else, and then food and it just it's a thing.
it's a
It's a
whole
whole
thing.
thing. Whereas Supernova, a lot cheaper, and it's in Hampton, which is about 45 minutes away from here. So I can drive there and back and be fine. So
Oh yeah, no reason
yeah.
not to.
So, anyways, let's get back to actually talking about the band that we were gonna talk about, and that
Oh
is
yeah,
the
what were we
Offspring.
doing?
Yeah, yeah, the Offspring. Have you ever seen them live before, or is
Yeah,
this like
see
a
him as
bucket
kids, I
list
think.
band?
No, I saw him at Warped. Oh God, many years back.
Yeah.
Um, saw him at the Norva once, or actually seen him at the Norva twice.
Oh, nice.
Um, and oh wait, no, and then there was another like way early on, like 2001, went up to GMU, I believe it was. Does George Mason have a venue? Either way,
George Mason has a venue.
They were
They
there.
have
They had
a basketball arena.
an MXPX and Cypress Hill opening for them.
Oh, that's
It,
a fun
it,
show.
oh my God,
That's a weird show, but that's a
yeah,
fun
it was a
show.
very weird show. Like
So
pop punk with stoner rap in the middle.
it's fantastic. We actually had that one time. It was, well, not necessarily like that, but similar-ish. It was the Get Up Kids, Thrice, and then Dashboard Confessional,
Wow.
which honestly was a lot of fun. I had
Oh, I
so
bet it
much
was.
fun during Thrice, but it was just very weird to go from the Get Up Kids to Thrice, and then
Oh,
hey, here's
you
Chris
whiplash.
Carrabba with his acoustic guitar. So, so, but anyways, let's get on to it. Let's actually talk because I've been looking at a bit of their history, and really they started off like a lot of bands with a self-titled album, which I was very shocked at how long ago this was. It was released in 1989, which they did independently. It wasn't on a major label.
No,
So,
not yet.
I mean, good night. I was a little bit surprised. So there was a small town, like it was Nemesis Records, I think it was. But at the time, they'd worked with like Social Distortion, Dead Kennedys, the Vandals. I mean, you have a lot of those like Southern California punk bands that really kind of were coming out at that day and age. So I listened to it. This was probably like the first time I'd actually probably listened to it. Because, like I said, The Offspring were one of those bands. They were a gateway band for me, but that was like Smash and Americana and Conspiracy of One. Uh, whereas I never really dove too much further back, especially when I started discovering other
Yeah.
bands. So,
Well,
so
interesting.
this is probably the first time
Oh,
I've actually listened to it front to back. So,
well, well, then it's very likely that you didn't actually listen to the whole thing
probably not, no.
because there is, in 2007, they removed track 11 from this album. There's never any mention of it. They have scrubbed every mention of the 11th track on this album
Really?
because I've got a CD from early 2000s that still has it on it.
Yeah,
I can't even say the name of it. I would not say the name of it on the internet,
it's
but
probably a good call.
yeah, it
Good night.
it
That's
involves a leader of a North American country and them no longer being
okay. Well, let's go
their
ahead and just
self.
call that a day. We don't need to talk about
So
that.
I see why it was cut.
Yeah, it's probably a good call. Oh, like, what do you think about their self-titled album? I mean,
But overall, like
besides
not
the 11th track.
yeah, not think about track 11. It's a solid album experience front to back.
Yeah,
There's very clear theming. It's all very cohesive, like, and it's all pure punk.
yeah,
And I love that it's a hell of a start.
it is. I mean, but maybe like the biggest thing for me when it comes to the Offspring, and I do try to, you know. remain very positive when this concerning this show and especially talking about music because everybody loves something different, and
Yeah,
I love that. But I don't know what it is. It's something about Dexter's voice that
that's fair. That's fair.
it's part of the reason I think maybe I didn't get into the Offspring as much as I thought I would when I first started listening to them. But having listened to the majority of their discography over the last week since we've talked and decided to do this episode,
Yeah.
there's just something about his voice. Just doesn't
It
do
just
it to
gets
me.
worse. It
Yes, it
just
does.
gets worse to the
It
point.
does. Especially listening to Supercharged. But that's besides the point. I hate to go there, but yeah. Uh this album was very good and it was very reminiscent of like the punk era that was coming out of Southern California at that time. Because I mean, it was very fast, it was very kind of in your face at times. I I
Very
musically
political.
speaking, yeah.
They were never more political than this. There's
Yeah.
a few here and there, but
Yeah. No, this was one of those, just basically what you were seeing from Southern California during that time. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It was fantastic and incredibly well done.
Mhm.
So it was a very good album, front to back. Um, I don't think there's anything super memorable I would take away from it.
And yeah,
Um,
that's why that one just barely didn't make the
yeah,
the best. Is that none of the songs stand out on their own. There's no like
no.
banger singles.
Yes,
The songs are
it
all
goes from
great.
one song to the next to the next to the next, which is great. That's great. But at the same time, there's nothing like when you turn it off, you're like, all right, what am I going to listen to next? There's
Mhm.
nothing that's going to make you go back and want to listen to it over and over and over again. I think the only
Yeah,
time I listened to it more than once is because we were going to do this episode and I wanted to make sure I like had at least a good two or three listens to make sure I knew what the hell I was talking about. But good album, just not really memorable, which kind of sucks.
yeah.
But
Uh,
what can you do? I
so
guess.
something else interesting about the
Yeah.
track Ran, Iran was originally called Baghdad, but then right before putting it out, right before recording it, apparently things started heating up in Iran, and so they re-recorded their song Baghdad, just replacing the word Baghdad with Tehran,
All right.
and
Well,
there's
that
still
works too.
recordings of Baghdad out there.
Are there really?
Yeah,
Nice.
and it's weird. Exact same
Nothing
song. It's
escapes.
only yeah,
Nothing escapes. Everything's gonna come back around. So we talked about the first. Now let's move on to the last or latest album.
yeah.
I should maybe I should change the name of the show to First, Latest, and Best. But First, Last, and Best seems to,
Yeah,
roll off the
first
tongue a little
that
bit better.
yeah
But
flows way better.
but but yeah, we're talking about latest, not last.
Mhm.
So and that would be Supercharged, which just came out back in
Ye-
October. And in
Yeah.
all honesty, I really enjoyed this album. It was good. As much as I just said that I'm not a huge fan of Dexter's voice. I just I really liked it. There were a lot more like songs that were kind of stood out more to me versus any of their other albums. This was just a really good album from like beginning to end.
Yeah,
So,
it was really solid. I like it.
um,
Okay, but this is the last time. I feel like it's supposed to be about a mildly toxic sort of one-sided relationship, but
yeah,
it's about parenting.
which
And
at this point,
I'll
in these guys' lives,
I'll I'll say yes and you'll say no, and I'll say okay, but this is the last time. That's not
that is
every
definitely
day.
about parenting. All right, come on now. How could that not be about parenting? I mean, maybe if you're not a parent, you don't get it, but once you enter into that fraternity of it's just yeah, that's obviously
Yeah,
about parenting.
and the whole song, every line in the song could be.
Yeah. That was a really good. I like that. I
Mm.
liked Come to Brazil was really catchy and I
Oh yeah.
really enjoyed that. Um, and Hanging by a Thread.
Eh,
Hanging by a Thread was probably
yeah.
the one that stood out to me the most. I really liked that song.
Yeah.
Um,
One thing I really loved about this album, and it's been a problem with a few, is their gimmick songs, and there really aren't any on here. None of
no,
their little silly when you go to prison or something,
yeah,
and I really appreciate that.
yeah.
These are all just good, pure songs.
I think it's definitely they're at a point in their careers where they don't have to do that anymore. They probably like,
Mm.
especially after Pretty Fly for a White Guy, after uh, Why Don't You Get a Job? They probably felt like
Yeah,
they had to have those like catchier, like very radio friendly kind of songs. Where at
yeah,
this point they've been in the musical landscape for over 35 years. I mean, at this point, do whatever the hell you want. If it makes you just go with it. And I think that like this album is just like actually stuff that they want to talk about versus, you know,
yeah.
let's get on the radio and, make sure that everyone knows who we are still. So,
And this is another really political, really topical one, like the
yeah.
first one.
You were talking and it
And
felt like you just kind of dropped out.
no, I was saying it
Oh,
really
okay.
fits with what I've always enjoyed about the Offspring.
Yeah. I This was probably like, because it felt like other than like once again having another kind of radio catchy radio song and You're Gonna Go Far Kid from Rise
Mm.
and Fall, Raging Grace, it felt like they were doing this for themselves. And it felt like this was the first time
Yeah.
they've been doing that for a very, very long time. So, which I really enjoyed that about them, this particular album.
Mm.
So we've done the
Yeah.
first,
Mm.
we've done the last. Brian, what do you think is their best?
It is number two, Ignition.
Really?
Coming. Yeah, it's another one where again, every song is great, good, pure punk song.
Yeah.
None of the gimmick songs. The gimmicks kind of started around Smash, and Smash is a great album. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but that's kind of when it started, and then just kept building up through Days Gone By.
Yeah.
But it's this is an album that I've listened to on repeat 100 times.
Nice. I got to be honest, I didn't listen to it,
Really?
which I now
Oh,
regret. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. But
yeah, you've missed out on one of the top three.
that's, I feel bad now. I really do, especially after listening to Supercharged. So maybe this is more of an emotional choice to me. Maybe this is more of just kind of like a sentimental choice. But like I mentioned earlier, this is one of those gateway bands for me. And Smash was that album. Like I remember we when you're a kid and you're trying to decide what you're going to listen to. Because I grew up listening to Queen and Bruce Springsteen, Billy Joel, and I still listen to those bands to this day because those were the bands like listening to LPs with my dad and my mom on like Saturday mornings, and we're just hanging around the house and just putting records on, man. Like, but then you're a kid. You want to forge your own identity. You want to listen to your own thing. And I remember my brother got this CD and he put it on and hearing something to believe in. And then obviously hearing like self-esteem on the radio or oh God, what was the other? Come Out and Play was the other big one off this album.
Oh yeah.
And in all honesty, that really was the kind of gateway into punk music that I needed and that made me interested in wanting to go. And this was pre-internet. So you had to really search hard.
Oh,
Like you had to get
you had to
like
be dedicated.
you had to like get like collectibles and like compilation albums to really listen to new bands and everything. I remember one time I found this punk compilation at Walmart. But this was also how I started listening to Social Distortion and listening to Bad Religion and like these other like iconic punk bands that you I never heard of before, but growing up in Gloucester, Virginia, and then all of a sudden like, oh my God, my eyes are open, especially for bands like Bad Religion, who, good
Oh
Lord,
God,
they
yeah.
are just icons. And to this day, put on some of the best shows I've ever been to. So,
Oh, definitely.
but listening to Smash and having that be my gateway into this type of music, dude, I do not regret this being the best album in my opinion.
Oh,
I now need to go listen to Ignition
100%.
though.
Yeah.
But like it was a little if we weren't if Supercharged wasn't considered the last or their latest album, I probably would have said Supercharged because that was very, very good. And I was considering Conspiracy of One for a minute, but I knew that Smash had to be, in my opinion, their best album. But
Oh, I get it. And I think if that was the first one I listened to, I'd probably say the same thing.
yeah,
Like you're really getting peak Offspring there.
absolutely. But I now need to go listen to
Okay.
Ignition.
Yeah.
So I'll do that tomorrow.
So like
So
I was actually debating between this and their next most recent one, Let the Bad Times Roll,
yeah.
if only because I had such low hopes for that album because Days Go By is a
Yeah.
slog to listen through. That the one
I
okay, the one song. And I know I talked about gimmick songs before and how I don't like them, but Bump in My Trunk is one of the greatest songs they've ever written.
is it
Only
really?
mostly ironically, mostly ironically.
All right.
You listen to it like 3 times and you're like, okay, hold on, this is kind of a bop.
Like, all right, I'll keep listening to it. I'll give it okay, keep going, keep going, keep
Exactly.
going. God,
It's
there you
their
go.
it's their gimmickiest of gimmick songs so far, but I love it.
That's funny.
But overall, that album was rough. But then Let the Bad Times Roll came on, and it was
It
just
raises the
banger
bar.
after banger. Yeah,
Okay. That's what I like. I like sometimes you just need that kind of low bar album. So that way, like hopefully like the diehards won't go anywhere. But sometimes you just gotta weed out the people who are just there because you heard a song on the radio. So that way you can have like this comeback album to make it that much better. So all right. We've done first, we've done last, we've done best. Now it's time for one of my favorite parts, the top three.
all right.
Brian, what lands at number three for you? What is your third favorite song that they've ever done?
Okay, so honorable mention to Bump It in My Trunk
Oh, go yeah, go ahead.
because that's only ironic for now. But
For now.
number three from Let the Bad Times Roll, Hassan Chop. It's it's fast. It feels like it is a counterpart to Tehran from the self-titled.
Yeah.
You, it's about desert warfare, but it's hard, it's fast. It would have fit perfectly on one of their early albums,
Yeah.
and I love that when they show that they still can do that.
I like that about them is that they haven't wandered I like bands that continue to grow and evolve as a band, but bands that very much stick to their roots and
Yeah,
always want to go back to it. I
still show you where
respect
they
that
came
about
from.
some bands. Exactly.
Yeah,
There are some bands like Offspring is probably one of those bands I definitely respect. I may not
yeah,
enjoy them as much as others, but I definitely respect them for a sticking to their roots pretty severely and just always consistently like knowing who they are. So that is one thing about the Offspring that I can actually say that I truly respect about them. So, my number three,
yeah.
and I've already mentioned it,
Mhm.
is from
Mhm.
Supercharged. It's hanging by a thread. I I,
Oh
I
yeah, I
was
get it.
I was bouncing between that and uh is it Come to Brazil? Which Come
Yeah,
to
come
Brazil,
through.
but it that was definitely probably the catchier of the two songs,
Oh, definitely.
but hanging by a thread, especially in a as a parent, where there are some days where that's all you're doing is just hanging by a
Oh God.
thread. It's like what is it? It's I've ripped it all to shreds, save me. I'm hanging by a thread. It just it,
Yeah.
I'm hanging by my own sanity. I am
Just
waiting to
grabs you.
fall. This is like as a parent, I'm just like, uh-huh, that's right. You're correct, sir. This had to make my top three. Really, really enjoyed that song. I've Supercharged is
Yeah.
probably going to be. I might have to see how much tickets are to the Offspring at the Dome, just because first off, it is a really good tour. It's what? It's Offspring,
Yeah.
it's
Dimly World and Newfound Glory.
yeah,
Yeah.
that
Oh, it's gonna
is
be
a
awesome.
hell of a bill. So I am
Laura's not
no, that's
excited
it.
about Newfound Glory.
Say what now?
Laura is not at all excited about Newfound Glory.
Well, she can get the hell over it
Li-
because Newfound Glory is so okay. So
Right? That's what I'm trying to tell her.
I
We're going to Bristol.
Newfound Newfound Glory is the first band I saw that I've paid my own money to go see. So they always will hold a very special place in my heart.
Mm,
I saw them about 3 or 4 years ago, and
really? That recent?
they were. This was right after From Screen to Your Stereo Part 3, I think, came out. And it was good,
Oh.
but it's just, it wasn't quite what I remembered them to be,
Oh,
which is slightly sad for me, but
yeah.
I'll get over it. It was still a fun show because it was them. Ryan Key from Yellow Card opened and he played acoustically. The Movie Life and Bayside, which
Oh, nice.
that was a hell of a bill. So,
Yeah.
so, all right. So, what is your number two?
Number two.
Yes, for you.
Hold on, let me scroll. I've got my notes here.
Yeah,
It's Coming for You. I forget
yeah,
which album that was on. On
uh,
Let the Bad Times Roll.
yeah,
Because for a very specific reason. I'm a sucker for songs where at some point in it, the music stops, there's a loud lyric yelled with no backing music, and then the music suddenly comes back immediately.
yes.
It's a very specific thing. You know what I'm talking about?
I am very much aware of what you're talking about.
Where he goes, "What's up? Fuck you up," and then everything comes. Oh my God. And
That,
I really like songs that do that.
yeah, I do like that. That's good stuff. Hold on, I'm actually looking at, hold on. I mean, on the lawn, it's only $30 for that in Virginia Beach. I might have to think about
Oh
that.
yeah.
Just because I've never
Oh
seen
my
them
God.
live.
$30. Yeah, no, you
That's
can't
not
go wrong.
bad. That's not bad at all.
It's a
And
great show. It's a very
infinitely
theatrical show.
cheaper. The only show I've that's coming up that's way cheaper than that is the Wonder Years are playing in Virginia Beach for free. Like they're doing
Okay,
that
well, you
on
can't beat that.
17th Street.
Mhm.
They do like different bands that play like at 17th
Yeah,
Street. Like the Wallflowers are playing.
that's how we
Uh,
saw the Aquabats last year.
yes, I remember that because I wanted to go to that, but I ended up not going. But yeah, that's the Wonder Years are playing, and I saw that. I was like,
Oh
my wife
wow.
was like, "Are you gonna go?" I'm like, I have tickets to go see Jax the next day. Jack's Mannequin is
Yeah.
playing in Richmond. Me and my friend Foster are going, which that's another episode we're going to do is actually that's actually kind of a weird episode we're doing because we're not doing Jack's Mannequin. We're doing Andrew McMahon's entire discography. We're doing something corporate because each band only has like two albums, maybe three at most. We're going to do Something Corporate, Jack's Mannequin, and Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness. Which, by the way, Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness is phenomenal. That's a different episode. But yeah, that's not bad. It's $30. That's not bad at all for lawn seats.
Yeah. Oh my God. There's no reason not to.
I might have to try and talk my wife into this
They
because
they,
with
they put
them,
on a
Jimmy
damn
Eat
good
World
show.
and Newfound Glory, ooh, that'd be fun. That'd be a good show. I would enjoy that. All right, let me get to my number two, so that way, I'm getting distracted by concerts. Sorry,
Oh no, I
this
get it.
this
You can't
happens
get distracted
all
by
the
it.
time. Oh man. All right. Anyways, my number two is straight off my favorite album, and it's not what you think it's gonna be.
Oh,
Something to Believe in. Come Out and Play is good.
really?
Self-Esteem is good. But anytime I listen to this album, I have to listen to Something to Believe in. It's a song, it's like very much like Hanging by a Thread. It spoke to me. I love Something to
Yeah.
Believe in. Especially as I've gotten older, and the more I listen to it, the more I love this song. It's not a single, it's not as catchy as everything else, but it's just one of those songs, man. Especially like some of the first songs I listened to. Yeah, I listened to Come Out and Play and I listened to Self Esteem first. But when you put the album on and on your Discman way back when, I would scratch the shit out of the CD going back and listening to this song. So Something to Believe in is my number two. And now we are
I
at our
get it.
number ones. Brian, what is your favorite Offspring song?
Gotta be Dirty Magic.
Yeah?
That's from Ignition. Then they re-recorded it on uh on one of the more recent ones. On Days Go By, they re-recorded it.
Yeah.
Okay, they did something good on that. But but it's not one of their hard, fast songs. It is a little slower, but still really heavy.
Yeah.
And it's very I don't know how to explain it, but it's another one that I've just listened to on repeat. It really just flows into itself well. You can listen to it on repeat easy.
Yeah. See, this is the problem with my favorite song by them. It is a song you can listen to very easily. And it is a song that you put on repeat. And it is one of their singles. I hate that it's one of their singles. Because so far, I think the, since we've been back doing this, uh, my favorite songs for the three episodes, one of them being the Lost episode, none of them were singles. It was Sell Out Your Funeral. It was I think Warbrain for the Alkaline Trio episode. Is that right? Let me check.
Yeah, I just listened to
Yeah, it
that
was
one
Warbrain.
and
It was
Warbrain. Yeah,
Warbrain. This one is a a single, and it's The Kids Aren't All Right. There's that song's just always been like one of the like, especially when Americana came out, and your singles and your TRL and your uh on the radio, it was Pretty Fly for a White Guy and um Why Don't You Get a Job? And then this.
exactly.
This
I
was
think this was
so
the very next
completely
single
different.
after those two.
It was. And it was
And
so completely different. And talking about something completely different than anything else on the album. Like having a neighborhood swallow you whole. How, you have a chance but you blew it. And it's one of those songs that ever since I first heard it, I was like, this is it. This is probably, I don't know how it can get better than this. I'm gonna have to go back to listen to some of these songs that you've said,
yeah,
and go listen to Ignition. But uh, The Kids Aren't All Right is easily and without a doubt my favorite song that they've ever done. So, oh man, dude, I enjoyed
yeah.
it. It was it to this day because that came out in 98, 99, ninety
I
eight.
think that single was in like 2000, 2001 or something.
No. Uh Conspiracy of One came out in 2000, so it would have to be before that probably. It probably came out in like 99,
Oh yeah,
probably. I don't
somewhere
know,
around there.
somewhere in those years, spanning
But
around
yeah,
that time. So
I think if I had never known that if all of their singles were just this, you know, happy poppy, pretty fly, why don't you get a job? I don't think I would have explored them further.
yeah,
But then
and
you see
that's
something like that, it kind of
yeah,
pulls you in.
it makes you know that there's something else to them besides just like these poppy. We need to get on MTV. Let's do these like ridiculous music videos. And then you listen to like they're self-titled or Ignition in your case, and then they're Supercharged now. I mean, that their music actually speaks beyond just like we're here to make some money. so, so, dude, this was fun. I will admit, I was happy to listen to them again because it has been a very long time since I've even thought about the Offspring, other than like hearing some songs on the radio. You know, because what is it? They had that one song. Oh God, that came out. Oh, it was off of Rise and Fall. Oh man, I don't even
Oh,
remember.
you're gonna go Far Kid or Hammerhead.
Yes,
Both of
yes,
those are pretty big.
yes. I remember hearing those and being like, "Oh, cool, Offspring's still around."
Hmm.
So, but but yeah, that's going to be the end of this episode. This was a lot of fun. Maybe I'll go listen to Panic at the Disco so we can do that again. Uh, maybe actually give them a try beyond just, hey, they're singles, which are
Okay,
very
well,
good, but
you said that you listened to all these bands that were tangential to Panic,
yeah.
like Fall Out
Uh,
Boy and
Oh yeah,
whatnot.
that's true.
I listened to Fall Out Boy, Panic, Cobra Starship way back then. One band I never listened to when they were big was My Chemical Romance. Just in the past couple years, I did, and holy shit, why did nobody tell me they were that good?
My Chem is very good.
God, they're
Uh,
so good.
And by the way, I hate Cobra Starship. I really do.
Oh my God.
I
I'm gonna
just
make you do that episode
I
then. No,
can't
we're
I
doing
can't get
Cobra
it.
Starship next week.
No, no, Midtown. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do Midtown because I can listen to Midtown. I just maybe it's because I was very much into Midtown at the time that when Midtown broke up and then Cobra Starship kind of took their place, I was just like, no, no, I refuse to listen to this and be into it. So, all right, where should I start with Panic at the Disco, in your opinion? Is it a fever you can't, what is it, the name of that
A fever you
album?
can't sweat out. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that where I should start with them?
And yeah, definitely.
Okay.
You
Then
gotta start there
I will do that.
to see where they get, where he
Yeah.
gets. By the end, it's just the one guy.
Yeah. All right. So, all right. So that's the end of this episode. As you can tell, because he's having so much fun now, Brian will be back. Either that or I will force him to be back, one of the two. Just like
One of
Jeff
the two.
Riggs, just like Mike Engel, Brian will return. So, Brian, thanks for doing the episode. I really appreciate it. And thanks for
Oh,
making me listen
definitely.
to The Offspring again, because that was a lot of fun going back and listening to a band that I have not really thought of in years.
I'm happy
It's
to inflict that on someone.
yeah. So next week or next time will either be Caitlin here with Good Charlotte, or it'll be me and Foster talking about Andrew McMahon and his entire discography, or it'll be someone else. God only knows. I have episodes planned. I have no idea when shit's gonna happen. At this point, I'm just like, let's just spin the wheel. Maybe something will happen. So, but I'll also be putting out a notice coming up of bands that I want to talk about and see if anyone wants to jump on those episodes. So if you want to jump on those episodes, give me a shout. Happy to. Um, so until next time, Brian, once again, thank you. Say goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.